sure I have my shot glass ready and some Avion right here, just in case I need to clear my throat.
You're out here doing it like Vinny Chase.
Absolutely. My story on
All
that was
right.
actually there for
And
for the taste test, so
nice.
been a fan ever since.
4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Know the Score. I'm your host, Don Delarente. I'm joined by my broadcast partner, Mr. Tyler Ball. Tyler, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's happening? It's gonna be a very interesting weekend. The Final Four is in full effect. On next Monday, we will have another national champion. And quite honestly, uh, I'm just ready to see the games because it's gonna be some interesting matchups.
Right. We'll jump right into it. But before we get into it, just want everybody to know that Know the Score is on the CSPN network. You can find us at www.cspn.us. You can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and any place that you download podcasts. Podcast Addict, your podcast app on your iPhones, any apps that you use for Android, you can find us. Just do a search for Know the Score or CSPN. So, like you said, the Final Four is in full effect out in Glendale, Arizona, the home of the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to roll the grass out, put the basketball court in, and they're going to have the biggest game in college basketball of the century for this year. So, we're going to talk about what happened last weekend first, as Gonzaga has made the jump from Cinderella to the Final Four. It's been a 20-year journey for Mark Few as they came in as the ultimate Cinderella. This journey has included many players, many teams that looked like they were good enough, always got hung up in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. I know a lot of people remember Adam Morrison crying on the court his senior year when they got eliminated in the Elite Eight. So talk about their win over a Game Xavier team. They had a fantastic weekend the Thursday night. They won their game kind of in a shocking fashion. So just what were your thoughts on Gonzaga advancing finally to the Final Four?
A long time coming, as you said, for Mark Few. Um, just This is a team that just beats you because I'm going to quote Frank Martin earlier this week. He said that first of all, they're old. They're a team that has been there before from a player, so to speak. I mean, they haven't been to the Final Four, but they are an experienced lot. They're probably the most experienced team in this tournament. Uh, they they can beat you on the inside. They got their big center who's very very effective. It's funny. Chris Webber called him Action Bronson, but because of the beard. But he's a space eater. Kind of reminds me of Big Country Bryant Reeves from back in the day, former Oklahoma State Vancouver Grizzlies center. He gives me that kind of look where he's just hard to get around. Uh, they're effective. Um, the guards are very effective. Nigel Williams-Goss was the big transfer who's been their emotional leader. Uh, it got another guard, Matthews, who's made big shot after big shot uh, in the tournament, particularly in these last two games. Uh, they're just a solid team uh, with veteran leadership, and usually that's what gets it done down to the Final Four. Um, your veteran teams make the plays down the stretch. Generally, your teams that have younger athletes tend to try to do it all themselves, and not too many have been totally successful, with the exception of a few, such as maybe a Michael Jordan or a Carmelo Anthony in the championship games. Um,
Right. That's definitely the
I would
formula.
consider them, and I consider them favorites.
I said,
I actually consider them the favorite, even over North Carolina right now, because you've talked about it over the last two episodes. North Carolina has a problem when they do not shoot the 3-pointer well. Gonzaga has more options at the 3-point line than Carolina does. Carolina does have a lot of size inside, but they do not from the perimeter.
right,
They're going to have problems.
possibly. We're going to move on from Gonzaga to Oregon. Oregon survived Michigan, which is a whole point of the tournament, survive and advance. Looked like Walton Jr. was going to put them out on a last second three, but it came up short. Oregon advanced. They got to play Kansas, who went on a fantastic run to beat Purdue. I looked up at one point in the game, it was 58-54. I looked up again, it was like 74-58, and I was like, oh my goodness, what in the world just happened? Kansas went on a 3-point barrage, so they advanced, and it was Oregon who prevailed. They won in a rather convincing fashion, and Bill Self is now 2-7 in the Elite Eight as a number one seed. So is it time for Kansas to start questioning what they're doing with Bill Self and how they're approaching the tournament, or at least how they approach the Elite Eight?
I don't know, because Self gets players, and I mean, actually, we're going to discuss a little bit later. He's got two guys. He got the National Player of the Year on his team and another All-American. So his players isn't the problem. I think that sometimes you run into bad matchups. You run into bad luck. Surely in those 7 losses, he's had some bad luck. However, is it the style of play that puts them into awkward situations at times in matchups? I don't know.
Why would you say that their style of play puts them in any more awkward situations than Carolina does?
Because here's the thing with Carolina. The difference between the two teams is that while Carolina has actually had better big men over Self's tenure, Roy Williams has had much better big men. Kansas has had some elite guards. They've had a few elite swing men, but they have not had the size inside or the rebounding. In order to make up for it, they like to get you up and down the court. Look at last year. Look at Villanova. What did Villanova do? Villanova took the running game out from Kansas by slowing it down with Archie DiNaco and knocking down perimeter shots. That's how Villanova plays, which is a perfect counter to Kansas's ability to make things a track meet. So the question is, can Self get a big man that he can dump the ball down to and score in the half court? Traditionally, he hasn't had that, and I think teams take advantage of it. And when they tried to score inside, of course, they ran into literally a brick wall in Oregon.
Right, Mr. Jordan Bell. Hello to the national scene.
Yeah,
Dylan Brooks as well. Out. Yeah, they made themselves known and announced that they were here as they won in their celebration and said, "Don't sleep on the West Coast." And they were, they opened some eyes and they plan to open some more at the Final Four. They said they weren't done. So, yeah, Oregon looks like, a team that was really scrappy. And one of my brackets, I did pick them to go to the Final Four. I just felt that they just had that, Dylan Brooks, even though they lost their other big man, guard play, and somebody who can get hot and stay hot is real valuable in this tournament, and he's one of those players. So we'll move on to the darlings of the tournament, I guess you'd say, in the South Carolina Gamecocks. They won their Sweet 16 game, got a chance to move on to play the Florida Gators, somebody they were very familiar with. and came down to the end. But South Carolina, as they've done in 3 games in a row now, their defense prevailed at the end. Their offense woke up in the second half, and they advanced to the Final Four for the first time in school history, along with Oregon and Gonzaga. So now, has Frank Martin, A, changed the national perception of himself as a coach in his gruff, abrasive style? And 2, can their defense rule the day, and can they kind of pull like a Villanova in '85, where they're, the least likely team here and maybe the least likely winner, but they clearly have the best defense, and that can go a long way in a one and done. You got your mute on, Tyler. Tyler, hit your mute button, bud. It freeze up on me.
Hey, have I been on mute the whole time? Hello?
Yeah, man, you've been on mute that whole time. You never looked at the comments or nothing. You never heard me or nothing.
I didn't see any comments. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, man. You've been on
I
mute
didn't see
that
anything. That's my
whole time.
bad. That is my bad. I didn't see anything. I didn't see I didn't see anything, man. But see, here's the thing.
All right.
Hold on.
What's
Okay,
going on?
you can hear me now. See, here's the thing. My
Is
mute
it
button
getting
is.
put on mute by accident?
I think I did. Because my mute display button is off, but the visual is showing that it's on, which is weird.
Yeah, like you're good right now, but you're not good right now. Good right now.
Okay. This is super super weird. All right, hold on. Okay. Wow. All right, we're going to. All right, I'm gonna have to get Classic to edit that. All right, just a second. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
I'm just.
find the timestamp and get them to take the gap out. It's probably like a 5-minute little gap right here.
All right. Okay, let me reset. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. South Carolina.
Yeah, I'll just reintroduce the question
Yeah.
and then we'll start it from there. All right.
All right. Cool.
3, 2, 1. And now we'll move on to the Cinderellas of the Final Four, the South Carolina Gamecocks, as they defeated the Florida Gators in the Elite Eight to move on to advance to Glendale. Frank Martin has got his team in the Final Four for the first time, and Gonzaga, who were first-time participants in the Final Four. Tyler, I want to pose this question to you. South Carolina, they clearly have the best defense. Their defense has come through 3 games in a row in the second half, allowed their offense to excel in the open court, get a lot of fast breaks, transition points, things that they weren't doing during the regular season. Can they be the Villanova of this tournament from 1985? The one who clearly doesn't belong, but they have the best defense and can somehow shock the basketball world this weekend?
My answer straight up is probably going to be no, because there are 2 bad matchups for them. Either team on the other side of their bracket is not a good matchup for them. Because, quite honestly, those teams can rebound. The key to beating South Carolina is that you have to beat them on the boards. You can. I don't know if these 2 particular teams can control Thornwell. I don't know if Gonzaga can control Thornwell, their leading scorer, who's dropping about 25 a game in the tournament. But Gonzaga does have size. Gonzaga likes pace. So the question is, can Gonzaga make enough layups, and can they execute in the half court, or can right? They have to execute the half court in order to keep South Carolina from running. I think Gonzaga can do that. Personally, I think those guys can get to the basket. I think they can hit perimeter shots from 3. South Carolina gave up a lot of open looks to Florida, a lot of open looks, and Gonzaga generally knocks those down. They're going to have to get a great performance from Thornwell, and Thornwell's going to have to defend too, because Nigel Williams-Goss is a great scorer in his own right. So I think the added effort, and on top of that, Thornwell is not at 100% right now because he actually missed practice today, as he's under the weather. They think he's got a bug and maybe nothing serious, but he's not going to be 100%. So that, plus the pressure of having to guard Williams-Goss, is going to be very, very interesting to see. But
yeah, that change of atmosphere, that change of atmosphere and climate does do strange things to people's health.
It does. And also you got to remember too, depth perception is going to be at a premium, shooting wise, for
Right.
And this may work in South Carolina's favor. But playing
Right.
in a cap, you're going from playing in a small arena to a cavern, playing in Phoenix Stadium.
Right. Hopefully they can put enough people close enough to the baskets where, it can help with the depth perception. A
It
lot
didn't.
of
It
these
didn't work
times,
well. It did not work well in Houston, um, and it surely didn't work well in 2011. Uh, Famously, where you had probably one of the worst national championship games in history with Butler and UConn. So
right?
playing in arenas does not have a good track record.
The best place
In
for it to be, if you're gonna have it at a big place like that, is a Superdome.
hmm hmm
It's a perfect place. And
Yes.
exciting games. There's been mostly good scoring games. The Final Four has been there. So I don't know why they want to try to like you said, go to some place that's so big, but it's all about the money,
hmm
money.
hmm
So our final participant in this year's Final Four in the Battle of the Blue Bloods, the North Carolina Tar Heels, were successful and an ending for the ages, as there were multiple lead changes in the last 13 seconds of the basketball game, missed free throws, as often happens in college basketball, leads to madness, as Justin Jackson missed a free throw that would have put the Tar Heels up by 4, instead left the door cracked. Malik Monk kicked it down, hit a 3 on the other end. 7 seconds left. Theo Pinson, aka OC Jones, as I like to call him, comes across half court with the ball, does a dribble handoff to Luke May. He, no hesitation, fires it up and shoots the ball and goes in. 0.3 seconds to go. Kentucky throws an inbounds pass away, and Carolina just inbounds the ball and they win. Amazing finish to a game that looked like Kentucky had in hand with about 3.5 minutes left. Full disclosure, since I'm a part-time wrestling journalist, hint, hint, in my other life sometimes, I was sitting at the PNC Arena at the SmackDown event and watching, not really, the opening match, listening to the game on my phone, going through all the nerves and emotions. So yeah, that was quite a roller coaster that I got taken on listening to that on the radio. So Tyler, first, your thoughts on just the game itself, just the early foul trouble that the Kentucky guys got into, Cal's decision to sit them for a majority of the first half and then unleash them in the second half, the role players, like I said, Luke May with the game winner, career weekend, not let alone a career game. Humphreys as well on the Kentucky side, just players stepping up, making plays. Joel Berry twists his other ankle out there, gutting it out. Justin Jackson, pitching in, being the All-American that he is. Just talk about the game itself before we move on to the matchups in the Final Four.
It's very simple. It's just a battle of two of the best coaches in the game making decisions that they were obviously prepared for. Um, you don't expect contributions from guys like a new Luke May, but then again, they've been there. I mean, May has stepped up at several times during the season where he's needed. So has Humphreys. Um, in a time where you've got, and this is the thing about Cal too, when you have young players may not recognize how the game is being officiated, which leads to fouls. Um, and miraculously, fouls have not been an issue in the Kentucky era with Calipari. It's been very rare. Um, he tells his guys to play through it, and generally they have. Um, but in this game, bottom line, they didn't get the performance that they needed in the second half from Monk. Uh, despite the last second heroics, it just wasn't enough. Um, I personally think that Monk. I think despite the two games that they've had, I personally think Lonzo Ball is the best player in the draft. I also think that Malik Monk is going to be a better pro than De'Aaron Fox. Fox outplayed Ball both meetings, but Fox still has a way to go. Ball is ready now. Monk is ready now.
I'm in total disagreement with you. I don't know. Well, different game, different way that the game is played in the NBA, different way that the court is used. Mm-hmm. But to me, De'Aaron Fox poses a bigger threat to me than Monk does, because I think that
long term. Well. I think. Let me rephrase that. Long term.
Yes, because I think that.
Okay, I got you on that. Yeah, I just
me personally. Monk is too streaky. He's a fading type of player. Like he can go in and out. Fox, to me, is always a threat because he can blow by you at any time, and he can, he's a willing passer. To me, it seems like Monk gets the ball, Monk shoots the ball. Where Fox is willing to create and make it happen for somebody else, and then if it's not there, okay, I'm gonna go get it.
Here's the thing, though, and this is why I say right away, Monk can help somebody right now, because that's going to be what positions need. Look at your playoff teams in the NBA. If Monk manages to drop down in the draft to a team, or a team trades up to a playoff team, the biggest weakness that most teams have are your typical 6'7", 6'6" wing guys who can get up and shoot the ball. They don't necessarily have to require 2 dribbles to get their shot off. Monk actually can get his shot off anywhere on the floor in the offense, which is why I think he can help a team right now. I think Fox still needs to develop a little bit. I think Fox still needs to be more consistent on his jumper. I think that Fox's speed, if Fox can develop like an Isaiah Thomas, yes, he'll have a long career. I agree with that. He may trend even longer. But as far as right now, right away, I would put Monk then Fox.
Okay.
As far as my top 3 guys.
Now we'll move into the final. We're gonna move into this. Okay, we've got South Carolina versus Gonzaga. I know you touched on that a little bit earlier. You feel that Gonzaga's execution may be the cure for South Carolina's, hard-nosed defense, as they won't be able to run as much as they have to take the ball consistently out of the basket. Now, let's get your thoughts on
Thornwell's under the weather, and that is vital, because you have to get enough. You may have to find another scorer, and I don't know if South Carolina can do that.
Okay, and now the second matchup, North Carolina and Oregon. What are your thoughts on how that's going to play out?
This is shaping up like a track meet. Get up and down the floor how Carolina likes it. Oregon can actually play it away. They actually beat UCLA away. They even control the tempo against UCLA. So this has the potential to be a game in the high 70s, maybe in the 80s. And quite possibly it may depend on Carolina having to make free throws down the stretch. The guys are going to have the ball. Big guys are going to have the ball in their hands, getting rebounds. They're going to get fouled. They're going to have to make free throws. Mm-hmm. So I see this already coming. I see them focusing on Justin Jackson, trying to get the ball away from him, particularly in the last 4 minutes. So Barry, if Barry is okay, then they'll be fine. But Oregon tends to make post entry passes difficult. So my thing is, you're gonna have to get some shots up and hope you grab the rebounds and keep Oregon from running. And as long as you do that, Carolina will be in good shape. I'd say Carolina 86, Oregon 82.
I've said it at the beginning of the tournament, and it's still true. The only way I really see Carolina losing is if they get totally bombed out from three and they can't make any. Like if Oregon hits 12 threes for the game, if they're 12 for 18, something ridiculous, let's just, and Carolina's like 3 for 21, then they're probably more than likely going to lose that game. But if, just like in the Kentucky game, if they can keep the threes like, 9-6, then Carolina's offensive rebounding and, like you said, their, likelihood to get to the free throw more times will be enough to overcome the advantage that Oregon, a small advantage Oregon may get on the 3-point line that way. So that if you're a Carolina fan, that's what you basically look for, the margin of the 3-pointers. If it's a game where the other team is just lights out and Carolina can't make one or get enough inside and ones to kind of keep up or negate the 3-pointers, it could be a long Saturday evening for the Baby Blue. So at this point, we'll wrap up with the college basketball talk with some of the end of the year awards. Like Tyler was saying earlier, Mr. Frank Mason III of Kansas was named. He was also on the first team AP All-American team, and I'll let Tyler give the rest of the AP teams first, second, and third.
Okay, the first team should come as no shock. You got highlighted by Mason and UCLA point guard Lonzo Ball, who I feel that he is the best player in the country. I don't think there are any other shockers as far as your selections, but Josh Hart out of Villanova, the mainstay, Caleb Swanigan from Purdue, and Justin, and the first team is rounded out by Justin Jackson. As we go to the second team, I already mentioned Malik Monk, but Nigel Williams-Goss also made the second team. Luke Kennard from Duke, Dylan Brooks of Oregon, and Jonathan Motley of Baylor. Third team, Josh Jackson from Kansas. Of course, the other possible number one pick, Markelle Fultz for Washington. No surprise here, Bonzie Colson and Ethan Happ from Notre Dame and Wisconsin, respectively. And Lauri Markkanen from Arizona rounds out the third team. I just have one little anecdote. Obviously, if Alonzo Trier does not get suspended for use of a banned substance, he would definitely have made the third team. He's that good. Trier was the most effective player of the season for Arizona, hands down. Just when he came back and worked his way into the offense, he was good. He is really good. He is Sean Elliott reborn, and I'm very serious about that. I like him that much. I didn't see any other no real surprises. Jonathan Brooks was a very nice touch to make the second team, and people still don't know who he is. I mean, not Jonathan Brooks. I'm sorry. Jonathan Motley of Baylor is a real surprise. People are really going to start to know him now, which is good. De'Aaron Fox not making an All-American team is an eyebrow opener. Maybe because he wasn't consistent. It took him a little time to start off this year. He started off a little slow as Monk and Briscoe were kind of making the Kentucky highlights. Monk had several highlight plays during the early part of the season and the early part of conference season. But Fox took over when it mattered. Fox took over in the SEC championship, the two games of the tournament. He definitely shined during this run in the NCAA tournament, where definitely he was the best player on the floor in their 3 games. Well, in their 4 games, he was the best player on the floor. So Surprised that he didn't get enough votes to be All-American. But Frank Mason, had a great season. Knows and he's the senior guy, and I think that's why he was able to carry a lot of the votes, because he was the senior that everybody knew. And I think that Lonzo Ball kind of suffered because of the media circus that his father has played a major part in. And I think that took some slight from the voters against Ball. But hands down, you got Ball, you got Markelle Fultz, you got by the way, Fultz made third team All-America on a team that won 9 games. And I'm gonna just leave it alone at that.
Now, you can also be an All-American here at CSPN if you sponsor and help free by using our sponsors. All you have to do is click on our website, www.cspn.us. There is a tab there that says support the podcast, support the sponsors. Click on that, go down to Amazon. Do your shopping as you normally would. Buy whatever you'd like to buy. Mother's Day is coming up. Easter's coming up. Be ahead of the game. Get the new, ties. Get your mom something for Mother's Day. Don't wait till the last minute. Do it through Amazon, through cspn.us. Some of that comes back to us here upon the network. Keep all the podcasts free so you can hear us do our thing every week. So please support cspn.us and shop at Amazon while you do so. Now we got to move on to the guys who get paid to play, the guys who make the big bucks, the NBA. We're coming down to the home stretch of the season, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The check oil light is on. They're leaking oil a little bit here. They're struggling. They've lost, I think, like 6 or 7 games here in a row. They've lost first place in the East. LeBron has kind of cracked the whip. The guys haven't responded. We've got, they're trying to get some players back from injury. And then Kyle Korver just, got out of the lineup due to injury. So things are a mess right now for Cleveland as they head towards the end of the season. Is it a problem if they have to make this playoff run from the second seed this year? By the way, that this season.
It's really. I'm gonna take the 2-word answer. It's no. Obviously, I think that the East is still a lot of rhetoric. I think Cleveland will have to work, but they have the best player. And bottom line, their best player is better than the other 2 teams that have a remote chance. Their best players. LeBron James is better than John Wall. LeBron James is better than Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas might be the best fourth quarter player in the league, but no, I can't see Cleveland. I can't see Cleveland in a 7-game format losing to either one of their 2 teams. And that's my reason, because they still have the best player in the game. And
here's my only thing that I want to pose to you, though, Tyler.
Okay.
If Cleveland remains in second place, and that's a big if, there's still like 8 games to go, then that means that to get to the finals, they're going to have to play the Wizards and the Celtics back to back.
I still say, and I know they have to go on the road. My thing is, can Cleveland win on the road? Yes. I don't believe in, and I'm a Wizards fan. I do not believe that the Wizards have to actually do this, because this is one of those, they have not been there before, and Cleveland has. That actually does make a difference. I think that the playoff experience does matter. I think that the individual matchups do matter too. And at the end of the day, it's still going to be a 7-game series, and I think Cleveland's just going to win 4 before the Wizards do. Because, by the way, Boston, out of those 3 teams, Boston is the best defending team but they got a great disadvantage because their best player is their worst defender in Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas can't guard anybody. Neither can Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie Irving is 6'3". His name's 5'9". The individual matchup is still gonna cancel each other out, which still leaves an advantage to Cleveland. Cleveland and Boston. My problem is with Boston in beating Cleveland is that they're going to ask a lot from their second tier of guys that, their second tier of starters have to play at a high level to beat Cleveland. That's just the way it is. Same thing with Washington. Bradley Beal got to show up. Bradley Beal show up 4 times in a series is a lot. John Wall's gonna be there. I agree with that. John Wall can now play Kyrie Irving. Bradley Beal got to show up. Marcin Gortat has to be dominant. There are so many factors in those other 2 teams, even at home court, that I still think that Cleveland has to be. It's like that enemy, that hard enemy. He's not dead until he closes his eyes. That's how I feel about Cleveland.
Gotcha. We'll move on to tightly contested race. Who do you think is going to be the MVP? We've got Russell Westbrook doing phenomenal things, Mr. Triple-Double. You've got James Harden, miraculous things, almost averaging a triple-double, has his team sitting 3rd comfortably in the West right now. You have probably maybe like one of the most improved players like 2 years in a row, Kawhi Leonard, and the things that he's doing for the Spurs this year. He's elevated his game once again. And then, of course, the old reliable LeBron James as your 4th candidate this year, as the guys who are, at the top of the list in everybody's mind for MVP this year. As you look at the numbers and you look at the teams around the individual players, who do you think is worthy of the MVP this year, Tyler?
I'm going to first of all stick to my guns. I was on record day 1 of the season saying that Russell Westbrook would not win MVP unless his team gets the 4th seed or better. And it turns out they are dangerously close they have an outside shot. I don't want to say dangerously close, but they have an outside shot of getting that 4th seed, which would be remarkable because their team without Kevin Durant technically is much worse than it was last year. And for them to be at this particular level without a Durant, without a consistent second scorer, I am almost reconsidering my vote if I had one. I would definitely give it to James Harden because the Rockets are a better team, and generally the vote goes to the best player on the best team. In between the MVP race, I think that Russ has proved his value. I think Russ is more
But
valuable.
see, you almost said it. If Russ is more valuable, if you feel that Russ is more valuable to his team than Harden, then give him the award. And that should be and that's how people should go, to me, in my process of thinking. That's how you should go and do it. If I take Russell Westbrook off of Oklahoma City,
it's not even close. It's not even.
Where are they at?
God,
compared to
they're not a playoff.
Compared to if I take James Harden off of Houston, where are they at? Or if I take James Harden and put him on Oklahoma City, are they where they are now, and vice versa? If I put Westbrook on Houston, you kind of have to look at it like, either remove them or change places, and kind of, what do you think about the situations then to make your decision more clear?
Here you go. Russell's the better defender. That's it. You give that in a straight up swap. you give it to Russell because Russell's the better on ball defender. So
Right.
I'll go with Russ. I will.
Yeah.
I said he wouldn't win it unless they do it. If they get that 4 seed, he gets my vote. If they
Yeah.
do not, if they don't get home court, I may consider Harden. But I'm on record just backing up what I predicted earlier in the season by saying Russ won't win unless they get the 4th seed.
I'm really leaning towards Russ. I mean, especially kind of this week that he's had, where they've had 2 huge comebacks and he's had 2 huge games to make it happen. It's like he's almost trying to show everybody, like, yo, if you really think I was mad this year, take this award away from me and watch what I do next year. Because, I mean, he's putting it all on display this year. I mean, I think he had, a 57-point triple-double against Orlando the other night.
Mm-hmm. Hit the game tired to send the game into overtime.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, it's funny how people try to analyze the metrics of it. Without Durant, he literally has the same number of assists he had last year, which is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that team is Jesus. That team is not. It's so much worse than what that team is. So much worse than without him than with him. And it golly, look at how
this will be a season that people will look back on in 3 years when they just go back and they're removed from all the inertia of the actual season that we're in right now and all the moving parts of how everything changes week to week in the NBA. Like in 2 years, when you just look at this on paper and see, just the 27, the 11, and the 11 or 12 that he's getting in the rebounding categories, then it will hit people. And if he doesn't win the MVP, then they'll kind of shake their head and go, you know what, he should have got the MVP. I think that's how it's going to come down on people.
Well, the precedent has already been established because what's the name? Had another the second season in which the Big O did it. He didn't win it.
Right. No. Strange things can happen. Finally, on some good news, or maybe if you're the other teams in the West and the Cleveland Cavaliers, some bad news. Kevin Durant looks to be on track. He looks to be a little bit ahead of schedule. Sounds like what I was, saying the best case scenario for them on the last show, where he gets to play the last 3 games, is exactly what they're aiming for. He seems to be responding good to the treatment. He's doing non-contact drills, and they say that he's expected to ramp up his workouts and try to get into some contact practices here in the next week to 10 days. So it looks like Kevin Durant is going to into the mix as the Warriors have gone on an 8-game winning streak, as last night they came back from getting blitzed in the first quarter by San Antonio Spurs. They were down huge, something like 27-3 at one point. I think I saw 24-3 or something like that. But they stormed all the way back, get down by 2 points at halftime, and then overtook the Spurs in the third quarter and won by 12. So it looks like they're hitting their stride here right when KD's announced that he's getting ready to come back. So are the Warriors poised now to be the threat that we all thought they were now, because now their bench has confidence and more playing time, and everybody now has a much greater role, and maybe Kevin Durant doesn't have to do as much as he was doing before on offense, just maybe concentrate on doing what he was doing on defense, as he is leading the team in block shots and rebounds.
Well, as long as they don't have to see as long as they don't have to play the Houston Rockets, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with penciling the Warriors into the finals, simply because there's no other team that matches up with them weapon for weapon. Kawhi can't stop everybody as far as the Spurs go. The Spurs would have to play perfect basketball for 4 quarters, not one. And over the course of a 4-game series, nah. The Warriors are now still to win the Western Conference.
Before we move on,
to be honest, I know that sounds really simple, a simple breakdown, but I do believe in bottom lines. I think that even if the Rockets can somehow upset the Spurs in a semifinal matchup, the Warriors are still a much better team defensively than the Rockets. So I'm not worried about a 7-game series for if I'm the Warriors. I try to win as many games as possible, so I can guarantee the number 1 seed. Then I can play Durant. I can limit Durant's minutes. If let's say I'm up 2-0 in the first round, then I can work Durant in as much and still rest him as much as possible. So then he can gear up for whoever's coming in the semifinals. And then of course, whoever you see in the West Finals, he'll be fully ready by the end.
I want to pick your brain on one matchup that I'm kind of intrigued by, and that's going to be the 4-5 matchup where it looks like it's going to be the Clippers and the Utah Jazz.
Ooh, yeah, that's fun.
Is this going to be maybe the year where Doc Rivers gets exposed for not being a great GM? Because the Clippers, I mean, not the Clippers, the Jazz have like the same positions that the Clippers do. So this matchup is going to be like strength on strength.
I'm gonna do like the quit like on Twitter. The gag is, well, in this case, the gag is Doc Rivers has already been exposed as a bad GM because Blake Griffin is not dominating anymore. They still have not figured out the small forward position. I'm to the point. It's getting to the point now where they should go ahead and go maximum offense and start Jamal Crawford at the 3. I mean, it's that bad. It really is that bad. And I think Utah can take them. I think they can steal a game from them because all Rodney Hood got to do is get hot for one game. They got Hayward. They got two of the best on-ball defenders in the league in the Stifle Tower. And Gordon Hayward, surprisingly, is a very good defender. I don't see anybody on the floor on the Clippers that can take over a game. I mean, can Chris Paul be old Chris Paul? I don't know. So, but think about Utah. Utah is doing this without Dante Exum. Just wait till next year when they get Dante Exum back. That team is scary.
No, they're very scary. They're very scary. Who would have thought Quinn Snyder would have been a heck of an NBA coach?
Isn't that wild? We thought he was going to be on his way out of coaching when handling that disaster at Missouri.
Man, I laughed and my jaw hit the ground when he was up for the Hornets job with Michael Jordan before he hired Steve Clifford. He was like, yeah, my last 2 people were Quinn Snyder and Steve Clifford. I was like, Quinn Snyder? Where the heck did he pull him out of the ashes from? But got over to Utah, got the job, and now they're, like I said, they're very competitive. They play a fun style of basketball. They're highly slept on because, of course, they play out in the mountain time zone, and they're Utah, so nobody is really looking for them. But yeah, they're gonna sneak up on some teams, and the Clippers may be the first one.
They play that Duke motion style offense, but they have a 7-foot center who erases everything on defense. So they can get up and down the court, and Gobert actually runs the floor well too. So he's not just a defensive stiff. He can finish. He actually is developing a post move. So I really think that team, when they get Exum back next year, you might be able to pencil them in the top in that fourth spot next year, and be a
Right.
real problem for a team like the Warriors, because they're going to have to be, because the Warriors don't like physical teams, and the Jazz are very physical. So I'm if they steal this first round matchup, they're playing with house money, because next year is their year for Utah.
All right. Just a reminder that you are listening to Know the Score. I'm your host, Don Delarente, for this show. I'm joined by my man, Tyler Ball. And now we're going to move into a little NFL, as this week, the Oakland Raiders said they were going to get the moving trucks and they were going to head east. They were going to go to Las Vegas, starting in more than likely, hopefully for them, 2019.
Most likely going to be 2020.
Yeah,
the stadium.
more than likely 2020.
Yeah, they're probably going to have the stadium finished in the winter of 2019. But here's the thing with the move. Of course, this flies in the face of all the traditional optics of the NFL, all the PR optics, which, I mean, I love to have a PR job for the NFL right now, because I am practicing every bit of spin cycling, every bit of they will require the best of me right now, because you're moving into a place where you hate to be. The NFL, it has been a staunch advocate of anti-gambling, and to move into the birthplace is like putting a piece of a slab of meat in the lion's den. I think that Roger Goodell kind of has to fade this issue as much as he can, not put it out to the forefront that, hey, we're in Vegas. I think what he has to do is play it really, really cool with the industry, particularly fantasy football. Say that we're here, but at the same time, we're going to monitor all facets of the NFL, which secretly includes players and their relationships with Vegas. I'm sure they're going to hire a lot more security to do background checks on players and pretty much follow them wherever they go, especially when they go into Vegas. Now, that's the administration front office side. Team side. It's going to be a terrible 3 years for the next 3 years in Oakland. Well, at least next year in Oakland's going to be bad. You think it's bad enough when you go into the house of the black hole? The black hole, it figures out, well, the black hole knows that they're going to lose their team. They may say that they love the play. The fans may say that they love the players. I believe there are going to be some boos. There are going to be some ugly remarks in the media, in the press. There are going to be some angry former season ticket holders, because, quite honestly, Mark Davis pretty much played the indifferent role, and saying that he tried to do all that he could to move that to keep that team in Oakland. Nobody thinks so. Mark Davis has actually spent more time in Los Angeles than he did in Oakland the past 3 years. The Oakland fans have readied themselves for the team leaving, but their feelings are going to be known over the next, if not 2 or 3, when they actually leave. There's talk about them playing in San Antonio, maybe even Mexico City. Been kind of talked about for 2019. So it's going to be a rough year. Fortunately, the team is good. So they're going to win some games. So maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll luck up and be really, really good and make it to the
Take them
Super
to
Bowl.
the Super Bowl, man. Why not go out on the shield, as Al Davis would say.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Javis's what he said in his press conference would come true if he actually brought a championship to the Bay before they left?
Yeah, that
Would
would be
all be
wild.
forgiven? Probably
I don't
not.
know about all be forgiven, but they would throw one hell of a party.
This is true.
My thing that I'm looking at is I don't know if you're a team. I know if you're an owner of a team, it's going to be great because you have all these people coming from all everywhere to Vegas, and okay, there's a football game going on as one of the other of 1,000,001 things to do. As a team, though, I don't know if they're going to ever have a home field advantage because hey, my team's playing in Vegas. Let's go watch them play in Vegas. Who they playing? The Raiders. So who cares?
Here's the thing.
We're going to Vegas to watch, so you're going to have like 8 neutral games at best.
Well, let's add to the fact that in the relative conversation, Las Vegas is the 40th biggest market in the United States. A very small, in relative terms, media market. Birmingham is a bigger media market than Vegas. Okay, so are you worried about every game being a neutral game going to develop a home fan base? Because you're really selling people taking flight or whatever it is, the bus ride, not 5-hour flight, but 5-hour bus ride to Vegas.
Right, 4 hours in your car, an hour to fly. Yeah, you're hoping that you're gonna fill the stadium at least the first year or first 5 years, or whatever, from people who are fans of the Raiders from Los Angeles, Oakland, and surrounding areas. Within we wake up at 4 a.m. and get there at 10 a.m. type of transportation commute to Las Vegas, and the visiting team having a swarm of their people coming to, conclude their Vegas weekend with the football game.
It's
going to be very interesting. It's going to probably look like a soccer game at those football games. Everybody dispersed.
It actually really might look like a soccer game because they've actually talked about UNLV being an option too. That's about a 30,000 seat stadium. So yeah, it will look like a soccer match.
So that just continues another trend in the NFL here, where the third team has moved, uprooted traditional teams. As San Diego, of course, lost their team to go to LA, and St. Louis lost their team as LA regained the Rams, and LA, who was comfortable without having any teams, now has 2 teams. Just like that.
That's wild. But you know what? Hey, this is all the grandmaster scheme. Dallas owner. This is all to the strength. This is how powerful Jerry Jones is in the NFL.
I mean, I think they look at it and say to themselves, we can't be requiring we have these billions of dollars if we ain't got no team in LA. And I think that was the push.
And that's essentially, I'm on record as saying, I feel that there would be no NFL network if there were not for Jerry Jones. I think the NFL network is Jerry Jones's baby. Jones has had probably the biggest business hand in the NFL, probably this side of Tech Schramm and the as far as influence, because the man is about his money. But I give him credit. he knows how to get it done. And this is a major victory for not only him, the owners, and it's also a big victory for the NFL Network because it's another market that they can tap in and be, you know, just
It's a
because
showcase,
it's
you know?
it's LA.
Right. And it's like this. It's
People
like,
love football.
okay,
I
right. The NFL is basically telling you, okay, we'll give you flyover cities of Green Bay, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Charlotte, and that's pretty much about it. Every place else is pretty huge on the map that they play. Now that they don't play in Oakland anymore. Oakland would have been that kind of that sixth kind of, if you would want to say, quote unquote, small market team. They don't really have small market teams in the NFL, but you know, their population isn't as big as Houston, Miami, DC, Atlanta, New York, Philly, Chicago. I mean, you see what I'm saying? You see how it
yeah,
seems like they're parsing out your flyover places and going to the places with the names.
exactly. Now look at the next. I mean, if they pull off London, oh gosh, this move to Vegas remarks how big London a move to London, moving Jacksonville to London is going to be, because focus is going to change on getting London because they've accepted another small market. So um, London is actually one of the top 5 media markets in the world, uh,
Mm-hmm.
which would immediately put them in I think number 2 in the NFL. Get it? So I personally believe that the next target is London, and I think it heightens the importance of the getting the logistics and everything right, because I think London's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be 5 years or 7 years from now, but I think London is going to happen.
All right. Now that concludes Know the Score. Before we wrap up completely, Tyler, kick it over to you. Is there any last words or any shout outs that you want to give out to the fine folks here that are listening?
Okay. Couple of things. First of all, as we wrap up the college basketball season, um, March Madness is really worth the price of admission. Um, I'm an advocate. Besides all the hypocrisies of college sports, we're really here for the tournaments. We're really here for the championships. I do give the NCAA credit because they run their championships better than almost any organization there is. Uh, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of buildup. But the NCAA tournament is excitement in its purest form. And I'm always appreciative of the effort that these kids give every year. Second thing, congratulations to our colleague Tobias Wilborn, because he has added the Atlanta Braves coverage to his many hats. You can check him out. Follow the Atlanta Braves on at in Wilborn 19. Um, he's going to be a correspondent. He's actually going to appear several times on Atlanta television as he talks about the Braves. So shout out to him. He kind of hinted at it while we were at Bourbon Ball, but now it's official. He's made the announcement. So please follow him on N Wilborn 19 on Twitter. And my last thing, uh, I feel that the Colin Kaepernick issue uh, is very interesting to follow. There's a lot of hypocrisy I feel that's involved. I know that now folks are saying that he is projected to be making too much money, which I think that's a total fallacy. I do hope that he gets another shot, because it's totally unfortunate what's going on for him right now. Um, for obvious reasons, I want him to be able to work and give him more opportunities to um, spread his cause. It's just an unfortunate situation where a lot of people in high positions feel that he is a threat more than the message that he's actually taking a stand for. Okay.
Okay. I just like to say to all the baseball fans out there, opening day is here. It is finally here. And for the first time since 1909, the Chicago Cubs are the defending champions. And so they have a very good shot at repeating as they're going to kick off the season on Sunday night against their arch rivals, the St. Louis. Thing about opening day baseball, they play most of the games in the daytime. So everything looks great. The grass is so green. The uniforms are so clean. The bases are so white. And for number nerds like me, fantasy baseball starts again. So guys, make sure you have strong closers. Make sure you have enough guys who hit for power average. And make sure you get those sneaky points with stolen bases and holes. And that will make sure that you have a chance to go deep in your fantasy baseball playoffs.
Watch
So
your
Tyler,
rookies.
yes, that too. And mid-season call-ups.
Mm-hmm.
So for Tyler, I'm Don Delarente, and now you know the score.
That's a wrap.